I appreciate you coming back. Some of you guys I just saw yesterday, so welcome back. There's no news on any other front. Today's signing day, 2022 class, so we're excited there. Got 12 signees, as you guys have probably seen on Twitter early this morning. Apologize for backing this up till about 3:30, but we're waiting on. I wanted to announce them all together. I didn't want to come, have another press conference for one individual, so I appreciate you being here today and being able to wait on it. But super quality class. Obviously not a gigantic class, which is a good thing. That means we have a lot of guys coming back to our knowledge, and we'll have more information on that as we go. And again, there could be some guys added to the class, but again, very balanced on both sides of the ball. We got 5 guys on offense, 2 receivers, 2 O-linemen, and a running back. On defense, total of 6, 3 D linemen, 2 linebackers and a DB, and then 1 signee on special teams. So overall, we got 5 big guys, 5 power guys. We have 4 skill guys and 4 big skills type personnel. 6 of them are mid-year, and I'll kind of get into it as we talk. But we're excited to have half of the class coming in mid-year, which we've had. It seems like the last couple of years we've had a lot of success of guys coming in mid-year. We have a couple that could have come in mid-year that at some point during recruiting talked about it, about hey, I'm coming, and then kind of said, I think I'm just going to wait and finish my senior out, which we're good with. We do not squeeze and press guys to come in mid-year. There's advantages and disadvantages, as we know. We got 12 signees from 10 different places, 9 states and 1 other country, Australia. So 10 different places. We got 1 from PA, 2 from New York, 2 from Texas, 1 from New Jersey, 1 from Virginia, 1 from Ohio, 1 from Florida, 1 from Georgia, 1 from Massachusetts, and obviously Sam from Australia. So a great variety. 10 of our signees were captains in high school. Which is something we're always looking for, those leaders, and I think when you guys have asked all year about leaders and who's leading and leadership council, when you got 10 of 12, which is like 83% of your guys that are leaders already, I think that bodes well. I think that's probably the highest percentage of captains we've had since I've been here in one class. Again, just looking at pure percentage as opposed to that. 5 of the 12 have won championships. We still got 1 playing this weekend. Marquand Pope has got a championship game this weekend. My very first commit of the class was Sean Fitzsimmons. He actually was the first guy to send his papers in this morning too. I think it's 7:03. Although there's one other guy who was our, had his stuff in 16 hours early because Australia's on a 16-hour. They could sign a little bit earlier, I guess. So he had the advantage as far as actually the first one. I woke up this morning, had that on my phone. And the last one, you guys know, Sammy. Came in last. Again, we had 1 week on the road. I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages of being in the championship game. Everybody else in the country that didn't play the championship game had, 10 days on the road and really 2 weekends in December to bring kids in. We had 5 days, so I have not gotten everybody's home yet. I got the priority houses that I felt like for one reason or another that I needed to get there quickly and get that thing done. And obviously saw some other guys as well. This is obviously the 5th early signing period. I think there's a lot of questions and concerns and conversations out there about, it's an early signing period. A good thing, do we need to back it back up? A lot of the things that have happened are things that as coaches, not only in the ACC, but, Michigan State, when we were there, we had concerns where there was so much talk of moving it up. They even talked about moving a signing date up to June. I remember 10 years ago, it's like June, you talk about really messing up the calendar of college football. So, after 5 years, you're kind of comfortable with what's going on right now as a coach, and for them to talk about changing it back, it's crazy. It's like going to 14 playoffs and moving it back to the 2. I think once you've gone that far, once you go to 12-team playoff, to go backwards would be something that'd be odd. And I don't think there'd be a lot of coaches in favor of that, but I'm sure there'll be some questions there. It takes a lot to get this done. I'm going to leave, we got Graham up there and Adam. Our coaches are busy being in meetings, game planning and stuff, so I'm going to leave Graham and Adam if they want to. They don't know this yet, if they want to answer some questions afterwards, because they do an outstanding job, and I think we got the best recruiting office in the country. I'll start with a thank you to those guys. I really do. I don't think we have the most guys working at an office, and we're always working to get our numbers up, and that's something we'll work on in the offseason as far as getting more people in that office, because I think as these NCAA rules change, the portal changes, as we're now allowed to do videos and do all this different stuff that we need more people in that office to continue to do what we've done. But they do an outstanding job, and again, I just think the continuity we've had in that office, with Graham leading the show and Adam being his right-hand man that does an unbelievable job in there. That they got a great feel, and again, it's every year makes it a little bit easier, especially on me and the staff, because they have so much control. They know the process we have in there. So thank you to those guys. I want to thank our recruits and their families for everything they've done through this process. Some of them we've recruited for 3 years, some 2 years, a year and a half. So it's a long process. So we appreciate their trust in setting their son, dropping their son off here, whenever that may be, being with us and trusting that we're going to take care of their son. Thank our coaches, our administration, all the other players out there. Thank our players that host our kids on the weekends. And again, it's mainly in the summer. We had one weekend last weekend when we brought some kids in. Everybody works at our facilities. Our trainers do a great job. Everybody's involved in this. It takes everyone. Our strength and nutrition, our equipment guy, Chad Bogart. I'm going to give Chad in here. He always wants a shout out, and he ain't here. Chad Bogart does a great job. We do some different things and videos for recruits when they come on this campus, and I think it's one of the great things we do. Operations, obviously, does a great job. Academics, Mike Faribault, and everybody up there. Penny Samai and Life Skills. I want to thank Heather. She's available at times when we have recruits come on campus and she can talk to them. And then Mark Harding, our head of admissions, who looks at these kids' transcripts that we bring in, and we either get a check mark, hey, you're good, or hey, maybe we can find someone different. So we appreciate everything they do up there in admissions. So with that, I'll start talking about our guys. First one is Sean Fitzsimmons, defensive lineman, 6'3", 290-pound defensive tackle from Monica, PA, Central Valley High School. He's coming in mid-year, so he'll be here for classes that start on January 10th. He'll probably check into the bridges on the 9th. All these guys will do that. But I laughed all year. Every home game he was there. So he's our newest season ticket holder. He's had a great year. Obviously won a championship and back-to-back state championships. He's also a recipient of the Bill Fralick Memorial Award for the top lineman in the Whitfield. So he's our one PA guy. And it seems like in the last couple of years, Western Pennsylvania has been a hotbed for defensive linemen. So I know Coach Partridge is fired up to work with Sean. The next one on defense is Jimmy Scott, defensive lineman, defensive end, 6'2", about 250 pounds, from Cheektowaga, New York, St. Francis High School up there, a private high school, super kid. He plays running back and defensive end for them, and obviously he's going to be a defensive end for us, but very athletic, tough guy, fits in the mold of what we want out of one of our defensive linemen. They run a regional championship up there. Was able to fly up there to see him and another prospect up in the Buffalo area last Monday. And you guys might recall last Monday, I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was had text messages to my wife and kids saying, hey, I love you guys. If I don't see you after this flight, but it was a windy day, 40 knot winds, which I guess equals to about 45-mile-an-hour winds. And I didn't know if the plane was going to get down because it was pretty shaky. But we landed there. But if you recall that Monday night game with the Patriots and the Bills, that was the night I flew up there, Monday Night Football up there. And how many passes did the Patriots throw that day and win? Three passes. So, when's the last time you saw 3 passes? Besides maybe an Army-Navy game, with the quarterback they've got in New England. So it was, probably the worst weather. So I'll remember that visit up to Buffalo for a long time. So we're happy to have Jimmy on our football team. The next defensive lineman, Sammy Okilola, again, another defensive end. 6'4", 225 from Brockton, Massachusetts. Thayer Academy. Again, he is also another mid-year. The second mid-year I've talked about today. Obviously, it was a battle till the end with him, and our staff did an outstanding job. Again, led by Tim Salem and Charlie Partridge on that one. And again, just a super smart kid. I won't explain how smart he is, but if he's out there listening, he knows why he's so smart. So I'll throw that one out there. He was the guy that visited. He was the only guy that visited during the season, okay? So we only had one guy visit during the season. It was just based on his schedule, so we brought him in for that, and just a super athletic defensive end that we're excited to have in our program and getting him as a late guy. Also defensively, Marquand Pope, a linebacker, 6'1", 210, 215 pound from Denton, Texas, Guyer High School, plays safety for them. He's a very athletic guy. He'll be an outside linebacker for us, probably a star prospect. We'll wait till we see him get here. Again, he's a field general for them. He makes all the calls, talking to the coaches, and I know Coach Manlack's been down there, really a couple times to see him. But they play for the state championship this weekend against Westlake. He's originally from North Dakota, and the thing I really love about this guy, at least coming to this point, is he wants to be a coach in the future. So he's thinking about coaching, and to have a linebacker be a guy that commits and also wants to be a coach. I think that's a guy that we're going to love to coach on defense, because the more coaches we have on the field playing for us, the better. So Marquand Hope, a linebacker. Next one is a kid named Kyle Lewis, linebacker, 5'11", he's actually 206 pounds, because he was just here this weekend. That's an official weight, John. And he's from East Orange, New Jersey, East Orange campus, high school. But we had him in camp last summer. It wasn't a big camp. I'm not sure if you guys were there on that day. Chris, I don't see Chris today. Where's Chris at? He's not here today, but Chris may have been there watching him. But he was kind of an individual with the one-on-one camp that we had in the indoor. I think it was passing camp, if my memory serves me right. But we loved everything about him in the summer. He was committed somewhere else at that point. We worked hard on getting him. We were trying to get his parents back. He came by himself. He's also a track guy. He can run. He was a guy that thought about coming mid-year, but a guy that wants to compete in his senior year in track. So we're looking forward to getting out in the spring and be able to watch him run as well. But very athletic guy, like Marquand. We're excited to have him here. Again, in high school, he played receiver, he played safety, he played linebacker, he played DN, he played played all over the place. He was a return man on punts and kickoffs. So we're excited to work with him, and again, saw him live in person in the indoor, and love what we see out of him. The only DB in the class, Rylan Gandy, a 6 foot, 170 pound corner from Buford, Georgia, Buford High School. Just won his 3rd state championship in a row, and if you've ever been down to Guyer, you know what kind of football that is. It's big time football. Was at his practice, I want to say last Thursday night, which was kind of their final practice before the state championship. So it's fun to kind of see the final details and preparation for his championship, and see that he's going to put another ring on his finger. In his home, he's got a ring from last year. It was this big. I've never seen a ring that big. It's something you could never put on your finger, Jerry. But we're happy for him. But he's a long, athletic corner like we like. He's a guy that is going to be able to fit into exactly what we like to do there. Came on a summer visit with the family and just had a great time. And then he also came up for a Clemson game. So we're excited to have Rylan in this class. Offensively, 5 individuals. First one is Addison Copeland. Rylan Gandy, by the way, is also mid-year. So Rylan is coming in mid-year as well. So I think that is 1, 2, 3 on defense. So we must have 3 on defense and 3 on offense, which is perfect. But the first one on offense, Addison Copeland, a wide receiver, 6'2", 175 pound young man from Maritime High School up in Buffalo, New York area. Again, Addison will be here mid-year, so it'll be great since we lose, I think, 4 senior wideouts to have him in. We expect him to come in and play for us. But he committed to us and then came to camp. So he was summer visit, came to summer camp, and did an outstanding job. It was like, wow. I mean, from every drill he did out there, this kid is going to be a special wideout for us, and it's always fun to watch those guys live. But he did everything for his high school team. He's also an indoor and outdoor track guy. Again, mom and dad there, just very, very supportive of him. I believe he may have been committed when he came on his visit, or this far away from being committed to a school out east, further east from here. So we're happy to have him in, and again, another part of that visit up to the Buffalo area on Monday. So just visited him and the family up there. The next receiver that we have in the class, a 5'10", 165 pound wideout, speedster from Austin, Texas, Maynard High School, Nawabuko. He's an outstanding athlete, played running back, played wide receiver, return guy for them, but he's been timed in the 100 and 10-4, 10-5, 100 meter. Again, a guy that can do everything. His speed is what stands out on film. A guy that's been committed since the summer visit. And we've had him on campus a couple times, came up for a game as well. Again, just a guy that's going to have a lot of speed, whether he is lined up in the backfield, running the football, obviously a wide receiver, which we're in need of, so we're happy to have him here. On the power front offensive line, Isaiah Montgomery, 6'4", 290 pound, probably offensive tackle from Virginia Beach, Virginia, Lansdowne High School. Again, great family, just a super kid. He's long, he's athletic, he's going to keep getting bigger. He's been here again multiple times. I think he came down for a Duke game as well on the road. Again, someone that Coach Forbes has worked hard on these offensive linemen and done an outstanding job. Excited to get him for a home visit, so I've not been in his home yet, and he'll be a guy that'll come with us for summer term 2. The next guy, Ryan Bear, 6'6", 335 pounds. I think it's actually from his weight this weekend, 338 pounds from East Lake. After he had breakfast on Sunday, he might be 345. From North High School, again, Ryan will be a mid-year enrollee as well, so we're excited about that. Again, probably one of the most interesting guys. He visited in the summer, but we couldn't get an official visit out of him. And again, our staff did an outstanding job of getting him on campus. So he might be the only guy that we've ever recruited that took, I guess, 4 official visits. He was saving a 5th one, canceled Notre Dame, and then unofficially visited Pitt. And we had him for about as long as you would have for an official visit, but just turned an unofficial into an official visit, and beat a lot of people on this young man. Excited that he is with us. Got a great family. His dad, Russ, was a 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. conversation about every minute or every day, in the morning for about a half hour. Just some great conversations there, so we appreciate Mom and Dad's support there. Again, visited officially, so he had an unofficial visit, which they have to pay for all their meals, and you can't do everything you'd like to do. And then he came this past weekend and had a great time, and got his official visit, which was his 5th official visit of the year. So we're excited to have him. We got a really, really athletic running back from Hillsborough High School down in Tampa, Florida, 5'10", 185-pound Jordan Bailey. Again, just an explosive guy. We offered him, we loved him, and we went down and we went to a few camps this summer. We saw him live in Florida's camp, University of Florida's camp, and just loved him there. He actually worked out a wideout that day, so for a running back to have ball skills like a wideout and run routes like a wideout, he was impressive there. So again, another one of those guys that you love to see live and in person. We were able to do that and meet his mom down there as well. But plays running back and receiver for his high school team. Kind of decommitted a little bit, I think a couple weeks ago, but we got him back, which does not happen very often when a kid breaks away. But his high school coach, big help, and just a great personality, great kid, and spent a lot of time in his high school last week trying to get him back in the Pitt mindset. So we appreciate him signing with us today. And then the last and final guy is a specialist, Sam Vandahar, 6 foot, 180-pound punter, who will be in mid-year from Australia. Again, we lost one Australian punter. We got another one. He works with Pro Kick over in Australia. Have not met him, have had FaceTimes with him. And he's a 24-year-old. So we got the oldest punter, or maybe one of the oldest punters in college football. We certainly got probably, I think he's going to beat out Trey Tipton for the oldest player on our team. By the time he leaves, he's going to be 28 years old if he stays 4 years, Jerry. So that's pretty good. But we're excited to have him. He's getting married in June, and his fiance went to Duquesne, so there's a little bit of a connection there. And I think she's from Cleveland, Ohio. So with that, I will open it up for questions for you guys. I'm sure you have a few.
How did what you guys went through recruiting in 2020 change how recruiting happened this year, if at all?
It's interesting. We went through. You're talking COVID year compared to what we did here. Well, I think it opens up your eyes to different ways of doing things. If you can't get a kid on campus, now we have, extended ways of getting them an official visit. As far as just showing them the facilities with Zoom and FaceTime. We're able to get them on campus that way, just to get them a preview before we get them there, or just to try to talk kids into getting on campus for an official visit. So any of those kids that visit in the summer, we're just using more techniques, again, by Graham and Adam coming up with great ideas of, how do we get Pitt in their living room wherever they live. And I think that's something that we've done a good job. So just finding different ways to get to these kids and find a way, we've again had great success in the past before this year. I haven't even added it up. And, but again, in the past, it's been 75% win ratio. When a kid comes on campus, they love it. And, in my office, it's constantly, like, Coach, I didn't know Pittsburgh was like this. This visit totally blew us away. And people don't think of Pittsburgh, when they get here, what it really is. And it's a beautiful city. It's an incredible campus. The academics, football, everything included. I think it blows people away. And I bet you we're probably near the 80s And then there's also those ones that want to commit that you can't take. And, that happens every year, especially in a smaller class. It happened even more times this year where you're like, we don't have a spot for you right now. Hang in there, and maybe on that second signing if something changes here. So, hope I answered that. Good job.
What impresses you about Sean Vincent?
Boy, he's a Pittsburgh tough kid. I mean, you just watch him play, inside the box. He's a leader, number one. He's aggressive, he's physical, and he's tough. And, when you look back there, attitude, he got it, effort, toughness, knowledge. We got a guy from our backyard that, embodies all of those things before he even gets here. So when Coach Partridge is able to get his hands on Sean, it's going to be a great thing. So he's just super people, super family, and we know we got two supporting families, and we've got, a young man that loves Pitt football.
You mentioned that you have a lot of guys coming back. Maybe was that the reason for this smaller class? Was there any other thing going?
Usually is, but we're not saving any scholarship now. This is a year that, we're going from maybe having 98 scholarship kids, where the NCAA, it's usually 85, Jerry. And, but with the COVID year and the extra year, we have 12 super seniors this year, so 85 plus 12 is what we had. I believe that maybe it was 13 super seniors. So, but we had those, but we don't, the NCAA, I think we've talked before, they are saying you have to be back to 85. So that's one of the reasons. I'm always going to, make sure that, any of those seniors that want to have that extra year, they've got it, as long as there's a, mutual agreement between both of us that, hey, it's something that's going to be good for you and we need you back and you want to be back. So, you can only work with 85. So that kind of tells you, what we expect back.
Does Kirk have the ability to come back for one step?
Kirk could come back for another year, but he'd be 32 years old and he's ready for the, he's got 2 degrees. He could have come back. We had this conversation a long time ago. That's why he walked out senior day. He's going to move on and try his luck in the NFL. And if not that, he'll be a successful guy in whatever he does.
So Sam would be at this point the regular punter?
Sam would be the guy. He's going to be in competition. He'll be a freshman, but at least we got him for spring ball. We're going to find out there'll be a punting competition, just like there was a kicking competition this year.
You still need to have some of those conversations with guys who could come back and use that super senior year eligibility, or have you had all those conversations?
We've had a lot of those conversations, especially after the championship game last week, and some of them maybe mid-season, whatever need to be done, and again, hate that you're talking about being 1-0 each week, so we're trying to just stay locked into that. But we've had some of those conversations, and some guys have made that decision already, but I don't want to share that until they're ready. And as soon as they're ready to make that announcement and make it official, we'll get that done. And there's some that are still trying to make a decision, and so we'll have something for you here. I hope in the next 4 or 5 days, 3 days, 4 days. I don't know.
This is the first year recruiting with the NIL in place. Did you find it to be anything different, or just kind of expected, or how was navigating that?
It's probably less than you would imagine. Wasn't like guys were saying, hey, what's my deal going to be? What you're worried about as a coach. So, I think we've got a smart group of a dozen guys that are worried about playing football and getting their degree, and that's probably the most important thing. And I think they all realize that it depends on what you do on the field. The guys that are getting deals are guys that are starters. So I think it's kind of like dangling that carrot out there, like, hey, there can be a lot more for you if you're a productive player and you get in the weight room, you get in the classroom, and you study and do what you're supposed to do and make plays on game day. That's when those things come. Kenny's a great example of what happens when you have a lot of success.
So first full recruiting cycle with Brennan Marion on board. What have you bring to your staff as a recruiter on the cycle?
Just like everybody, he's no different than everybody else. We've got a lot of great recruiters on our staff, and Brennan does an outstanding job. I mean, he ended up signing 2 receivers at that position and did a really nice job. Just like everybody.
How did you obviously Mark moved on during the time to talk to recruits? How did that affect you guys at all?
It affected a little bit. Certainly, anytime a coach leaves your staff and goes for another job, it affects you because there's uncertainty. What's going on here? What are you going to do? They got questions just like you guys do. If I can't answer them, it's tough. So I've just told them the truth about what's going on and how we're going to do business, and it's it's just like I think I mentioned yesterday, you know, Kenny Pickett didn't have a quarterback coach, and that's an example I laid out there. And those guys will have an opportunity when they get here to help us find that next guy. And to me, that's you know, it's empowering our players to be leaders and to understand where we're going direction-wise.
Do you expect to sign more people, either in February or some other time?
Yeah, as we start to see what's happening and things open up or don't open up, then we'll know what our numbers are. There'll be a couple more. We'll have a couple weekends in January. We'll have some priority walk-ons in as well. But yeah, we expect to have a couple more. We'll see how the roster. I can't sign 90, unfortunately. I'd like to have 100, but they won't let us do that.
How grateful were you when the plane landed in Buffalo?
I was grateful. You know, the only problem was I had to fly from there to go down to Tampa. And then they fogged in Tampa, so we had to fly in Lakeland. So it was like a whole bad day. But I'm alive, so I'm thankful.
And you got the guy you were.
Yeah, you know, that Buffalo stop 2 for 2, and then, you know, one
Was
of
he
them
already
got
committed at that point, or?
Not really. He actually was not committed when we walked into school that day.
Mhm.
So he was committed when we walked out of the school that day, and remained committed with his entire family at his house that evening.
So it was worth it.
It's always worth it. You know? Those are the fun battles. I mean, I don't want to say recruiting gets boring, but it's nice to have those battles on the road. That's kind of what you do. It's what you enjoy.
When you were going through the class, and you were talking about that, you said to be someone you can come and help you. What do you do that?
Well, I think all these guys can come in and help us, but you never know. But I always believe that when you see a guy live, and you know, Chuck can come in and help us as well. But you know, again, we see the speed, you see the blazing speed. Addison was just a little bit different because you watch them live and you watch them go through Coach Marion's drills at practice. You watch them in one-on-ones, and you're watching the same drills that you're doing with your current players. And you know, they're not necessarily going against the, DeMar Mathises and Marquez Williams in those drills, but it's all comparative. And he was just like wow, he was just impressive in everything he did there. And you know, he was already committed to us, but when he walked out, you're like, wow, he's special. And that's again, some of the guys that you don't see live, you don't know as much about. You know, you go based off of videotape, and but we're excited. We've done our homework on every one of these guys, and very, very selective in who we pick. And that's part of our championship success. Is you know, we're not bogged down with guys that can't play. We have 2 deep out there that and there's 3 deep in some positions that you feel like he can get in the game. So we've done a good job recruiting and getting guys that we feel can help us win football games.
You said yesterday that in terms of an interim OC, that you focus on recruiting and then get to that.
Yep.
Now that signing days are, do you have a time frame for?
I would say by maybe Saturday after practice. EJ, is that fair? Maybe Saturday. We'll know. But again, we've been focused on recruiting. Had a little bit of football, been neglected football. They won't let me go into football meetings. They're saying get this stuff all done. But we'll have a decision. The work is being done.
Will be an interim OC for the bowl game then?
Yes.
And after that, get somebody permanent up.
Yes. Or
Take
whatever.
take some time after.
Yeah, take some time. Sometime in January to make a decision.
I know you said you had no new news today, but
Yep, I don't.
Something struck
Next
me.
question.
Something struck me yesterday when I think it was Will asked you about what you need to know about Kenny's decision. And you said the day before. I thought you were kidding. Were you kidding?
I was serious.
Really?
Kenny could go out there and it's his offense. Let me tell you, you can give the coaches all the credit, okay? But Kenny Pickett is a football player. He's going to be a first rounder. Kenny could go out there with no practice and light it up. That's how I feel. He only practiced 1 day before the championship game. Didn't feel well that week, and he would 1 day he's ready to go.
Could he call his own game?
He could call his own game. We talked about that too.
How much conversation have you had with him about this since?
Not a ton. I mean, phone call here, phone call there, and I'm leaving him alone. I mean, I went down to Baltimore for the Golden Arm and that Unitas Award, and went obviously to New York, but I didn't go there to recruit him. I went there to enjoy it with him and make sure. And I told him ahead of time, I said, listen, I'm coming down here. We ain't talking about it. We're just going to have fun. And that's what it was all about.
You expect him here on Saturday?
I expect to talk to him before Saturday for sure. And he'll be in practice, we'll see. All depends on his decision.
This is a big year for the transfer portal, obviously. How much of an impact does that have on this recruiting class and then possibly into the future as well?
Well, I think the portal has an effect on, every recruiting class across the country. Hasn't had a big effect on us. Obviously we'll dip and dabble in that, but we're not going to go crazy in it because, I truly believe in developing high school guys and developing a guy through. But where you have a need, you're going to go see who you get, but it's going to come down to character. You're getting the right guys, not the wrong guys, because all it takes is one guy that's wrong in that locker room. But it's changed the landscape of college football. Okay. Again, I think it's great for the kids to have opportunities, but on the other end, I think all it does is teach, as we've talked in here before, teach the guys to, take the easy route. I just go over there. I can go over there. And sometimes, if a kid wants to go play somewhere where he can get more reps, understood. But it's just, there's something about keeping your team together. And that's the one thing I'm proud of. Our kids have stuck together here. 99% of them and played here. But it's major. It's affecting a lot of high school teams. There's some teams that used to have 10 scholarship guys. All of a sudden now they're down to having 5 because people are going to the portal instead of that that incredible high school to get a guy. And it's that's the sad part is it's affecting high school seniors in their recruiting. So now they're taking maybe a FCS scholarship, and then what it's going to cause is when they have great success because they should have been a Power 5 guy, they're going to spend somewhere in FCS for a year and then or Mid-American Conference school, and then they're going to go in the portal. And of course, some poor college coach is going to have them for 2 years, develop them, and then lose them.
This is the second time in 3 years you guys did not sign a high school quarterback in the recruiting class. What kind of goes in?
Second time in 3 years, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, we signed one last year. I don't remember the year before, but.
You guys got Joey.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything to that? Because typically that's a position most want to hit every year, I guess.
It all depends on what you feel like you have in that room. I feel good with the group we have in that room. Really feel good with Nate Yarnell being the freshman last year, but have 2 freshman quarterbacks, especially in the age we're in. I mean, those are guys that jump in the portal a lot. If you stack too many young, talented guys in the same room, you're bound to have guys that are going, hey, I'm out of here in a year. So that's one of the reasons, just knowing who you had, and you better have a guy that you think can beat out Nate Yarnell, as a young guy, and I think he's really, really talented.
On the subject of the portal, I talked to a basketball coach, not the one here, but another one who said he worries about the portal more than he worries about recruiting high school kids. Did it ever get that serious with you here?
No, and again, I think basketball is a different animal than football. But if you're not finding, I'm not going to just go recruit high school players if they're not good enough to play Pitt. So if you said, hey, I'm not going to be that stubborn where it's just like, hey, we're going to get a high school, we don't care if he's not any good. We're going to sign a 17 or 18-year-old out of high school. But if the quality of prospect athletically, academically, and academically, athletically is there, character-wise is there, then we're going to take it. But if they're not, and we got something better, and we're sure about his character, and, but to me, anytime a kid's in the portal, like there's a reason sometimes. What is the reason? Let's dig and find out. Because he could come here and have the same problems. He got to jump back in the portal. That's what you have to do. I don't want a guy, in and out, and he's with you 1 month and he's not with you the next month.
You had any portal conversations with any of your guys since the end of the season?
A couple. You always have a couple.